Hey guys, and welcome to my urban apartment balcony forest. To give you an update to my urban garden. So basically I made a video a little bit like maybe a month ago, and I was just watching it and I realized like how small some of my little plants are. So everything is just exploding right now. So I want to give you an update of how everything looks because it is quite beautiful right now. This is my apartment urban garden. So I've spent a lot of time on this guy throughout this last year. Basically, I have been gardening for just about a year and a half now, and this is my first stab at a big apartment balcony garden. So I have a pretty decent space that I'm working with. I grow so many things in this first little container. I use this fabric container garden that I got off Amazon, and so I have a lot of broccoli in here. The broccoli, unfortunately, it's hot enough that it just all went to seed, so I just let it go to seed. The bees really like it, so I don't mind so much that it's filling up a lot of my garden. I put a lot of focus on like medicinal and edible plants in my garden just because I have such a small space. I want to really take advantage of everything that I'm growing, and so I have a lot of kale interplanted in here, and that gives me my salads throughout the summer. And then I also have some medicinal plants or just like herbal plants that I use for teas and stuff, and so this is lemongrass. And I also have planted in here some marigolds, which has a lot of different medicinal and traditional benefits. And also I have some echinacea. This echinacea needs to be watered and it's going to flower soon, so echinacea has a lot of benefits for the immune system, so I'm excited to try that out. And I also interplanted a little bit of butternut squash in here that I grew from seed for the fall season to see how that goes. Going back to the topic of medicinal plants, I have a lot of calendula planted in my garden. I got a large amount of seeds and I just planted calendula throughout, both to attract the pollinators and because calendula has so many medicinal benefits. This is how my orange mint is doing. Like all mints, it's just going absolutely crazy in here. My very low maintenance jade and my rosemary, which hasn't really grown too much. My milkweed never took off, so I just threw some butternut squash into this pot to help, I don't know, give it some use at least. These are my bell peppers that I started from seed from grocery store bell peppers. I have not gotten any flowers yet, but they're doing pretty well leaf-wise. This planter mostly has my nasturtiums, which are just absolutely huge right now. You can eat both the leaves and the flowers are pretty tasty. In here, I also have a lot of catnip, which my cat very much enjoys. The catnip is also just going absolutely crazy in here and has pretty much quadrupled in size. And so much calendula. I was worried about this area because it's so windy. The wind comes up around this corner and just blasts this whole area with wind, but the calendulas got through the windy season, and now they are just going crazy and are a little bit stronger, protected against the wind just due to their size now. We got some dwarf sunflowers back here which still have not flowered, and we're interplanting this area with strawberries. So I got a few strawberries that are actually ready right now. This little area did have a bunch of my herbs, but I took a lot of the herbs and planted them in the big planters. So now I am left with chives and lemon thyme, which is both really good. I put them in my food all the time. My container hydrangeas are flowering, and I'm so excited to see that they're this beautiful like fuchsia color. They could be either blue or pink based on their soil, so I got this beautiful fuchsia color. Over here, I'm not really sure what I'm doing with this area yet, but we have some dying euphorbias. These are just getting destroyed by the aphids. And western sword fern. I'm experimenting with growing some native plants, so western sword fern is my first little attempt. And then over to the large section of my garden, and I just absolutely love this section. It just feels so special to sit in here. It's so lush. There are so many different food, medicinal plants in here, and this is absolutely my favorite part of my garden. So much more calendula in here. I am going to use some of the calendula today to make a nice little healing tea. These are some giant sunflowers that I planted. I think in my last garden tour video, I didn't even plant these for seed yet, and they've kind of exploded. They're supposedly like the 10 feet high ones. I don't know if they're going to get that high because they're not planted in the ground, but I'm experimenting with how high I can get them. And in these planters, most of what you see is tomato. It's really even hard to see the planters themselves. That's how lush and overgrown these are. But I also have some marigold interplanted in here and some snow peas. This is my gooseberry. I think that's what it's called, gooseberry. There is actually some little gooseberries in here, so I'm excited to try one. This guy is doing really well in the full sun that I get here. Got some more kale. Unfortunately, a lot of my kale is just getting destroyed by these little cabbage moth caterpillars. They just eat right through the kale, so that's unfortunately what's happening to a lot of this kale, so it hasn't really taken off. I have some more peppers in here that enjoy the full sun that this area gets, and some more calendula. This little planter, I have lavender, which is doing all right, and then I don't know what this little plant is called. It has the most beautiful little yellow flowers. And in this large planter, more of the same as the last large planter, I have a lot of tomatoes interplanted with snow peas and marigolds. So this planter is my little wooden planter that I made myself, and it has mostly snow peas. There's so many snow peas in here, I can't even eat them fast enough. Then the rest of the planter is dedicated to cilantro. So my cilantro didn't really have much of a edible cilantro stage. It pretty much bolted and went right to seed just due to the heat, which is okay because these little white flowers in here attract some really beneficial pollinators. I got some dill here, which I use all the time in my cooking, and my little shade planter is not so much shady anymore. I didn't anticipate that the summer solstice here, which is just in a few days, really shone a lot more light into what I thought was a full shade part of my garden. So now my hostas are sunburned, which is unfortunate, but the summer solstice is kind of going to be over soon, and maybe these guys will be able to recover. And there are some really pretty little white drop flowers. I don't know what they're actually called, but that's what I've been calling them, is little drop flowers in my shade garden. It's tough because I am a farm person born and raised, and I've always grown up on a 10-acre farm. So to be in a tiny apartment is honestly really tough for me, but that's the reality of living in a really expensive city. I can't afford a large piece of land. However, I've been saving up for like 2 years. So my dream is this winter to buy, okay, I don't think I can afford like a homestead in the city. I live on Vancouver Island, which is very expensive, but I want to get like at least a large lot in the city with a house and a huge backyard, and my dream is just to transform it into like a lush garden oasis. And I want to get like chickens and kind of have a bit of that like homesteady feel, but still within the city. I'm hoping to start looking at properties soon. You know, I'm kind of getting to that point where I just want to get something and like start building that like garden dream outside of my apartment. I will definitely make a lot of videos once I get a property and start kind of building my garden dreams. So click the subscribe button down below if you want to follow along with that, and let me know what you think about my garden tour. I'll see you guys next time.